All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Stock Analysis Friday. My name is Bennett McDowell with TradersCoach.com. And we're going to jump right into the charts this morning. And if you have any questions, of course, use the comment area in YouTube. Also, too, any stocks you want me to look at, type those in just as normal in caps. And let me know if you're long, short, or like thinking about a trade. That way I can tailor the actual presentation to your needs, okay? All right, well, I want to take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average first. And when we take a look at the Dow here, we've seen obviously the sell-off here. And I think that's pretty obvious. And now the question is, what's going to happen? Well, a few things I think are starting to unfold with the markets. Notice we unwound and came down right into this area here where it found support. Not unusual. In fact, I'll bracket this area here. It's kind of this area right in here. Okay. And it found support. It's bouncing off there. All right. So that is kind of what's happening with that now. However, with that said, all right, that looks to me like it's going to be a temporary bounce. We still have one of our indicators down here, actually on both charts, the 60-minute here and the daily are both showing more lows coming. So this looks like a temporary area. I'd say our next area is going to be down in this region here. So I'm expecting the market, I mean, we could still get a bounce back up to the upside, but then I would expect the market again to sell off and come back down into the 32,000 range. Now, at that particular point, we'll take a look at it and see if it's done, or we're in a more extreme sell-off where it could go down to the next level. So we're going to keep following the market here as it works its way down and zigzagging, but I don't think we have a bottom in yet. So that's kind of what I wanted to leave you with today. All right. Now, also, too, I want to take a look at Bitcoin for a moment. If you remember, we talked about Bitcoin quite a bit, and we had a buy zone set here. And that buy zone was between 77,918, so roughly 78,000, all right, down to 58,000. Well, we got down in the 70s, and we have a rebound. All right, so it hit this fair value gap here, okay, came down, bounced off. So that's kind of interesting because usually fair value gaps can act as support, not always, but usually. So that was an indication we hit the fib retracement zone and bounced off. However, we still have a red PTF on the far left-hand chart on Bitcoin. So I'm a little concerned that the bottom may not be in that either. We may take one more move down. So if it goes into the buy zone again, you may want to consider buying it. Our target zone is up here. This is where we think it's going. So I'll put T for take profits. How's that? And then a buy down here. So if you wanted to trickle in, if, you know, this indicator is right about 75% of the time, but not 100. So if you're happy with where prices are now, and you want it to trickle in with maybe half of your position and then hold the other half in case we do go back down, that's an option. And then if we get above this blue line here, that increases the odds that we are now on the next leg up. And so that would be in this range here above 100. So our target for Bitcoin is between 126 and 158. Okay, that's where we're looking to take profits on the next leg up. So we'll see how this unfolds as well. But if you're a long-term holder and you got a little bit nervous about Bitcoin coming down, just continue to hold it. Doesn't mean it can't go back down into that target zone, but look at that as a buy opportunity, not a sell opportunity. All right, so I just want to cover those two things real quick this morning. And good morning, Al. Good morning, everybody. All right, so let's, Al, take a look at what you want to see here. CBL. And you are looking, okay. All right, so CBL's come down, and you're probably, I don't know if you're looking for a long or a short. I wouldn't go long yet. Okay, I don't think it's down far enough. Not a heck of a lot of history on that, but enough. Okay, so basically, you look at that chart in the center, which is the daily chart, as well as the one on the right, which is the weekly chart, and you can just certainly see downtrend. There is no reason to go long there at all. Okay, if anything, you may get a setup to go short in this area here if it pulls up, and it probably will. Just so you know, these areas here, wherever you have some form of multiple price bars representing a consolidation, that usually acts as a rebalancing area for the market. So we'll probably get up into that area here. And at this particular point, that would be a great short trade. Okay. So keep that in mind, but I wouldn't go short here because we still could be coming up to that rebound. And I wouldn't go long because it may, of course, also sell off right where it is. So we'll see what happens with that. But in any case, wait. Okay. Short if it gets here. And if it gets down here, then you can consider a long. All right, let's take a look at TFIN and see how that's looking. Okay. Same thing. Again, too late to short on this one. So wait for the rebound. We've got a couple of areas where probably we may get a little bit of a rebound here. All right. And of course, there's always the fib retracement area as well. All right. So usually what happens for us to go into that fib retracement area, which is between the two blue lines, we have to have a green owl develop here on the center chart. So if this is just another move up and it stops here, reverses, goes back down, then that would be a short area here. Okay, we really haven't had that many significant pullbacks. We have one here. All right, that's a bear flag. Could have taken that. And so, if we get another one up into this area here and we got a turnaround, then that could be a short there. When you look for areas like this, wait for the turnaround, because if it goes through there and decides it wants to make a fib retracement, you want to wait for that turnaround. So I don't see a trade there as well. All right, SCVL. And let's see what we got here. All right, this one here, extended downtrend as well. I don't see a long trade yet. All right, so let's wait a little longer. It's too late to go short. The fractal pyramids did a great job on this trade. Could have gone short here, stop here. So short here, stop here, trail your stop down, and you would have gotten out here. All right, and then now maybe it is turning around at some point. So, not a bad trade using the pyramid for sure. And at this point here, no long trade, okay? So that's kind of the way I would do it. You could also draw out a trend line. Just simply, take that, draw it down, and wait for that to get taken out, and then look for a basing pattern and a new breakout structure indicating an uptrend to the upside. All right, Stuart, how are you? RMD, let's see what's going on that. All right, long. Okay, so are you currently long or thinking long? Probably currently long, right? Okay, so this one here, obviously a jump up. We have a gap. We may fill that gap a little bit here. I'm thinking, yeah, that looks actually pretty good. Let's open up that weekly chart and take a look at the overall structure. So if you're an Elliott wave guy like me, that's a 3. We probably had an ABC 4, and we're heading up to 5. Okay, so we should break that high. Let's take a quick look and see a target for you using fib extensions here, and let's just go from here to here to here. So we're looking at 305 to 412. Price is currently at 232. All right, so not a bad trade here for the long side. And you're probably going to be in this. You could be in this one for a year or so, okay, to reach that target. That's a longer term target. So, again, when I see a stock like that on its way up, then it kind of makes the case for some type of bottom getting put in the market at some point pretty soon versus later, but we will certainly see. All right, now RMD here. Is it a good place to go in? I'd probably wait for the pullback, maybe fill this gap, but I don't see any reason not to go long here if you don't mind putting your stop under there. So let's put RMD as a long. If you want to take it, just make sure the stop goes below that pyramid in here, or at least below here, okay? Because that's an area where the market could fill that gap, okay? So kind of be a little bit careful on that one. Let's take a look at SNOW, SNOW, and see what's cooking with that. All right, give that a second to load in the center there. All right, so SNOW, let's take a look at the weekly chart first. Okay, so we got history going back to about 2020. We got a move down, then kind of a basing pattern here, which is kind of interesting. And I don't know why we're getting that. Let me just hit cancel over here. All right, so let me go back. Okay, so here we are. Basing pattern here. We got two bottom lows here, possible double bottom, but we haven't really had any significant move to the upside yet. All right, we're still kind of going sideways. And these sideways moves, do have some short-term trades on them, no question about it. But it is still technically in a longer-term channel. And that channel is kind of broad, ranging from almost 200 down to, about 140 to 120. So that's a pretty broad channel where you could trade that and make some money, right? So I'm not crazy about it, so I'm not going to recommend it. You got a red owl over here still. So I think I would pass on that one. Okay. Again, if you're long on that, sure, you could stay long, but it's not one I would recommend. Okay. At this time, PANW, let's take a look at that. Okay. Long on this one. Let's open up that weekly chart first, kind of get an idea of the overall picture. Okay. So long move to the upside, all right, since really 2020. So we've been in a 5-year move upside. A little bit of tough to trade because we've had some pretty good swings on this move up. But it definitely, as you can see, you can draw a trend line very easily to the upside here, especially in this move here. And you have broken the trend line, by the way, but you haven't broken this one, which would be a longer term trend line here representing these levels here. Okay. So, you're kind of in a pullback area in the uptrend so far. And I don't see any reason to go long because the red PTF is on the 60 and we still got some bearishness in this move down here. Maybe starting to move out of it, but a little too early to tell. All right. Thanks, Stu. All right. Let's keep going here. All right. Let's see. Lowell, I think you're the next one there. All right. TNXP. TNXP. Let's take a look at this. I don't know if you're long or short on these, and happy Friday to you as well. All right. So let's see. Possible long on this one. Not quite yet. All right. Let me just see here. We do have some bottoming in, but we've had some bottoming in for a long time. But we do have a red PTF on the 60-minute chart, which shows short term, we're probably going to get a little movement down. After that movement's down, then the chart in the center, all right, is going to be something we pay attention to. So we got to get the red, which is this over here, out of the 60-minute chart before we can consider a long here, okay? And I'd like to see a little bit more proof to the upside on this daily chart before getting that. So that would turn this red PTF green. Okay, so no go on that yet. Let's take a look here at Kruger here, KR. And give that a second to load. Let's take a quick look here at the longer term chart. And we looked at Kruger, of course, before. And Kruger is one of these. This is one of these that was kind of a fun read, 2, 3, 4, and now we're in the target for wave 5. We do have a green PTF, so it looks like it's probably going to go up further into the target. The upper limit's about 83.75, so almost 84 on that. Okay. So I don't think I would recommend this now, but if you're long already, you can certainly stay long on it. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that, of course. So that is a possibility that you could think about there. But for right now, I think it's gone up so much, I wouldn't recommend it as a new buy. All right, INO. Let's take a look at INO here. Give that a second to load. All right. So on INO, let's take a look at that weekly chart. What a chart, right? All the way from 380 back in roughly 2020, 2021, all the way down to $1.92. All right. Good reason not for buy and hold sometimes, right? All right. So nice short sell across the board. But now what is it doing? Well, it hasn't proven itself moving up yet. Let's focus in here. You can still see that it's kind of maybe bottoming, but at this particular point at $1.92, not so much, right? Okay, so let's put that away. We do have bullish divergence for those that like divergences. We do have bullish divergence, but we haven't broken out of the channel yet. 60-minute chart has been bullish on this move up. That's like putting this little move up here under a microscope. That's what you do with this chart. So you have some of that, but it hasn't broke any of the key levels of resistance here on the daily chart. So for that reason, no go on that one. All right, Lowell, thank you. All right, Stu's back. He's looking at KKR. Let's take a look at KKR. Give that a second to load. We'll open up this weekly chart first. All right, so this one here, kind of a nice pattern here. And let me just see where we're at. So let's draw a fib retracement and see if we can see what kind of retracement we had. Okay, again, wave 3, and you can see that supported in the owl. Wave 4 has to have a red owl, so we're kind of in that wave 4 target zone right here. Don't forget, this is a weekly chart. So we also had, check this out, we also had support at this area here. So the market moved up quickly, redistributed down to here, classic wave 4. And so now it could be ready to move to the upside. So that makes sense for a long trade on a shorter time frame, right? So now let's take a look at the shorter time frame and see if we have any follow through on that. All right, so we got the daily chart here. All right, we've kind of moved up, calmed it down. I'd like to see a green owl on that daily chart in the center before saying this is a go, okay? We had a nice pullback. We took out this. Everything is looking pretty good. So if this continues on up, we would get that green owl, which is this indicator here, the histogram. We would get that green probably within the next week or two. So bring it back for that. But yeah, not a bad one. I certainly get it. All right, FFIV. Just I'd wait a little bit longer, I think, on that. All right, so FFIV, let's see what we got cooking on here. All right, so not a red owl yet, so it hasn't technically been in a wave 4. Doesn't mean it can't be a minor, but at this particular point, that's kind of, could come down a little bit further. Let's kind of get an idea of where we may want to put that. Okay, so it hit the target nicely, bounced off it. That's a good sign. And again, like the other charts, we still have a red owl on the chart in the center. So we have an active P pyramid here. All right, whoops. Let that reduce itself. So we had an active P pyramid on the FFIV facing down. Okay, so that was a little bit of a problem here. All right, give that chart a second to reload. I don't know why it's black right now. There it is. Okay, so here's the pyramid here, still active, has not been taken out. and here is a bullish one indicating movement to the upside, but we got to take out that P pyramid. So for that reason, that's a no-go on this. MLM, let's take a look at that one. All right. Okay, let's open up that weekly chart first. And on the weekly chart, looks to me like don't think it's come up enough for us to say this pullback is done yet. Red PTF. We also have a support level here that I also think it did hit. So that's kind of a good sign. And, you know, it just has to hit this upper level. So that's okay. And if we look here on the center chart, okay, on MLM, we do have a pyramid hit here. So that's a good sign. So I'm thinking ABC correction. I'm thinking possibly a long on this. Let's see where this thing is going though. So I'm thinking here kind of almost there, coming out. We should, if this correction is over, take out the high. My only thing is, I guess we got an ABC. You want to look from corrections for an ABC. It looks like we got that. So yeah, I think possibly MLM looks good for a long. You got the daily chart that basically supports that as well. Okay. All right. So let's keep going here. Ow. OD. What do we got? OD. FL. Let's see what's going on there. And you want to put your stop on MLN under that pyramid at 480. So I know, Stu, you have the software, so you should be all set on that. All right, let's take a look at this one. And short, okay. So a short makes sense on the weekly chart. And we're starting to see a little bullish divergence building. I don't think I would take a short here. It's too late. Okay. I'd wait for a rebound and then possibly take a short on this. But we kind of hit this area here where we could get a bounce. I don't think the short is over, but I don't think this is a good place to get in for it. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at some more. How about PG? Maybe this will work out for a short, possibly here as well. Let me just open up the chart on the far right. Okay. Ooh, nice. Okay, so this one here is showing signs of a top. I like that. If we draw a trend line, let's see what we got cooking here. Kind of something like that. All right, you may want to wait for that trend line to get exceeded a little bit. We do have major support sitting at this level too. All right. So if it can go through this little boxed area here and keep going, then that's a real good sign. Okay. But, you know, nothing sets up perfectly, especially when you're getting in near the beginning of the move. Let's see what this daily chart is showing us. Yeah, it's still looking like on this possible short. Let me just scooch this up a little bit and move this over. All right, let's see what we got here. I think I'm going to remove that and remove that. See if that doesn't help that move a little better. All right, so let's see what we got here. Yeah, I'm going to dump this chart. Give me 1 second. Okay, so give me 1 second on this. Dump that chart and create a new one. Sometimes charts kind of get a little funky. Okay, so let's change this to a daily and see if this one works better. Okay, so on this chart here, Yeah, it seems to be a little more fluid. Okay, so on this chart here, okay, if you were going to short this, you would want your stop way at the top here. I don't think I would do that. All right, I can't tell you it's going to go down enough for a risk reward of at least 1-to-1 for that matter. So I think I'd pass on that. Okay. All right. Eleanor, good morning to you as well. And let's take a look and see what you want. SFM, which stock you're looking at here today. Long. Okay, we'll take a look. All right. So, wow, what an uptrend. Okay, so if you're considering a long, too late. Okay, at this point, we have bearish divergence building here, and it's just too late. There's more risk going in here at this point because even if you got a normal profit-taking move down, that could be 50% of where the high is, and we're right near the high, right? So I'm kind of thinking no new trade to the long. If you are currently long, you certainly can hold it. And probably at this particular point here, okay, maybe put a stop here. Looks like we're going to go above here. So 180 probably is going to happen at some point here before we get a major sell-off in here. So maybe one more little high. But again, I don't think it's worth trading that with the potential risk of a 50% decline around the corner. So that's kind of why I think I would stay out of that one. All right, Stu, let's see, FERG. All right, and you're watching this probably for a long. I don't think you're a shorter. So let's see what we got here. Okay, so big move up, rebalance to this area here. Another big move up. Okay, well, this one here actually, okay, did come down to the rebalance area. In a rebalance area, what you're looking for is structure. And that just means an area where you had the market stopped for a certain number of price bars. And so basically it moved up, stop. It can also be considered at times order block areas. So we have a situation here where again, it stopped it. All right. Pretty deep owl at this point. So, okay. And it's negative. So kind of would like to see that a little bit more bullish. And we do not have bullish divergence either. You can see here straight down, there's no divergence yet. All right, so okay, so that's a little concerning. No red PTF, that's a good sign. Let's see what the shorter term charts are. No red PTF there. And we got a pyramid here. Well, I got to tell you, if you wanted to, at this time, take a long trade on this, I think that makes at least you could build the case for that because long term we hit structure here. Short term, we got a move off the bottom. All right. Big move off here, pull back, and then a more move here. So we're kind of breaking the structure here. Okay. That's a good sign. We got another area here. So I think probably as sure a bet as possible, we're probably going to get into that next zone here, which is really between here and here, right? So we'll probably got a good chance of getting there. If we go through that zone, then the next area is up here. So I'll leave that to you as what you want to do. We do have bearish divergence starting to show up a little bit here on the 60-minute chart. But I think you're going to hit some resistance in between these levels, which aren't too far away. So if you take a look at, let me just draw a solid line here. If you take a look at that, that's before 180, and we're at 168.80. So I don't know how much more profit upside you'll have. If you were a scalper, yeah, you could do it. But if you're not, you need to see some definite follow through. But okay, I mean, you could take that, all right? And just have your stop at the bottom or below the pyramid, and that's your risk. So I think you'd be okay on that. All right. Let's take a look out. Some for you here. TJX. TJX. All right, so based here, let's see what we got on the weekly chart. All right, move to the upside. Again, yeah, a long certainly makes sense here. I wouldn't want to be short here. Okay, however, with that said, it's been a long, right? I mean, it's been going on for quite some time. We've got, even on this little leg after the pullback, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pyramids. So that's excessive. Okay, we usually get a pullback after that many pyramids. So that is a little bit of a warning to go long. If you are long, you should stay long. Okay, have a stop under the trend line or just on this pyramid here that formed. Okay, so that would the latest pyramid. So probably best place for a stop would be right about here. Okay, so stay long for possible more highs, and when you get more highs, you might get another pyramid to ratchet that stop up. All right, but I don't think I would go long here. We got red PTF showing up. Okay, so that's a little bit concerned. So no new long there, but if you are long, you can certainly stay with it and protect yourself on that stop. Okay, so that's kind of cool. All right, let's see what else we got cooking here. All right, Frank is here. Hello, Frank. How are you? Okay, UNG. All right, UNG is an ETF for natural gas that's been pulling back. Not unusual after a climb out like it's had. All right, we certainly expect the bottom to hold if this is the beginning of a new trend. So what we've had here is a move up, took out the support or the resistance here, and then a move back down. And notice that basically this area here proved to be the area, block area here, where we had the turnaround. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. We got a red PTF still on the 60-minute chart, but I expect this bottom to hold on this market. Okay, so at this particular point, that's why I always say in the initial move up, try to keep that stop as low as possible. All right, if that's too low, cut your trade size. And if that's not acceptable, wait for the pullback. All right, so here's the pullback. I don't think it's over yet. Red PTF there, I think it's almost over. I think also, too, we're hitting some areas here where we had a little bit of a pocket here where the market went up, it stopped, and then went forward. But the stop needs to be at least at the pyramid, okay, at this point. And if you want to get out and get back in, you can always do that to ensure that the reversal is. But I don't think it's done coming down. All right, ZM. Let's take a look at ZM here. And ZM, you're long at 72. All right, so this one, not so bad. Let me just take a quick look here. All right, so this one is bouncing off the bottom, showed some good signs here as it came off the bottom here. Again, fair value gap here, came down to the fair value gap and reversed. Green PTF there, so that's a good sign. So you're probably good till 92 on that, which is what the PTF is saying. It looks to me like you definitely early entry right now. We don't have a green owl yet, but let's just see how that worked on the retracement area, because it should have hit that retracement area with ease. It did. Okay, so you're long. We got green PTF there. So, all right, I would say ZM is okay to be long on. Okay, put your stop at the bottom here, or at least below the pyramid for at the very least there. And I would expect it to eventually break above the high, which would be around the 92 area, right? So it's not going to get there tomorrow, but this would be an early entry you could take, okay? All right, so you're at 72, 76. So you're close to a little higher on this, and I think you'll be okay. I would not have your stop at break even, okay? Have your stop down below, because a 50% retracement would stop you out. All right. Oh, Gene's back. Gene is, says, give us a like. Yep, give us a like, and going on to Al, GM. General Motors, not good morning, but good morning. All right, let's see what we got cooking here. Let's open up this one here, a longer term chart. Okay, we've had a pullback here, kind of back and forth, red owl. Okay, all right, so nothing there is saying buy me. Okay, let's go here. Yeah, I got to say I'm not too impressed. Okay, red PTF. So no, yeah, short. I think maybe is a better way to go on this. Nothing long. My problem is that such a. I guess if I was shorting this, I would wait for a break in the 60-minute chart here, because technically you still have a move up here, and you can see that same move. In fact, I would draw a shorter term one here like this, maybe up something like that. And then on this chart here, I mean, you can see it here. So I think, I don't think you want to short yet. All right, wait for that trend line to basically use it as a bear flag. Okay, so when that trend line's broken, then you go short and you put your stop above the high before the trend line. So it would be a short below here, stop here. Okay, that's the way I would trade that. All right, so I think you got the right idea. I don't think it's quite ready yet. All right, let's see what we got cooking here. All right, let's see. Al's back with PRCH. Okay, let's open that up on the weekly chart here. Okay, so not a heck of a lot of history in terms of stocks, about 5 years worth. All right, so we went up to the fib area, which is also an area where you could see prices moving sideways, creating some form of support there, right? Reaction area. Then we had to move down. And so I'm a little concerned about a long trade here because we hit this target zone and bounced off it. I see nothing here that's telling me that we could definitively move up. We don't have any PTF that's green here. Could this be a bottom and shoot up? Sure, but there's not really enough information on that chart to let me know that. So let me come over here. All right, and the fact that we had a reaction at the fib retracement level kind of doesn't make me feel confident of a long position. So I'm kind of like thinking no go on that. Okay. All right. Let's see. PR. Let's take a look at PR here. Let me open up that weekly chart first. All right. Get some context here. Okay. So green PTF. That's a good sign. Let's draw in a area here where we had some type of consolidation on the move up. That was here. So we came back there, bounced off that area here. We still have a red PTF and still an active pyramid there. So based on this chart, we may be setting up for a turnaround. Let me see if I can make that a little straighter. I don't know if I can. There it is. Okay. All right. So we may be getting set up for a turnaround, but we have not had a turnaround yet on that chart. And these are still bearish. This is bearish, red PTF. And this is, of course, this little move up here coming out of it. So we'll see. I don't think I would do it. I mean, if we draw a trend line here, we got one here, kind of like that. And then we have a trend line up here. But, technically also, too, you have the larger trend is down. Okay. So you kind of got a situation where you got a smaller trend moving up inside a larger trend down. That's called a correction. Okay. So at this point, we don't know if we have a change in trend. We just really have a correction. Okay. All right. Frank, want to go long on CNXC. CNXC. Let's see what we got cooking here. All right. And looks to me, let's open up that weekly chart first. Not a lot of history on this, but may have some promise here. A couple things I like what I'm seeing here. Bullish divergence. All right, for one. I think we might have broken the trend channel down. Let's put that on top of there. So that's a good sign. We got a pyramid. So we have 3 bullish signs here. 1, 2, and 3. Almost green. Green would make it the trifecta for sure. Okay, so looking pretty good. Okay, let's see at the lower time frames. All right, green PTF there, spike up, and then a move down. All right, that's a pretty good move down. Once again, where did it move down to? Right smack back into this area of consolidation here. Okay, bounce off it. All right, so this one's a little tricky. Okay, if you like to get in early and don't mind a little bit of associated extra risk with that, this would be a go. Okay, this would be an area that I think you could go into with pretty darn good potential for some serious coin on this one. You filled the fair value gap. You came down to the support area. And so now, here we go. You've come down a long way on a trend, so you're not getting in at the top of a trend. You're getting in at the beginning of a new trend. I like that. So I'm going to put this one as a yes. And I think I like this one the best today. Okay. All right. There's 2 places you could put your stop. You could put it at the bottom of this bar here. All right. And since these pyramids are so close to the bottom, I would just say either here or at the very bottom, because you're not talking about that much difference in price. You know, you're talking maybe 3 points, but sometimes you only get stopped out by a point or so, right? So I think that's okay. All right, so good one. That's the best one so far. So let me just recap here before we go today. We got actually a couple possibilities. RMD for a long, MLM, all right, FERG, ZM, and then the one I like the best is CNXC. So all pretty good. So I think those are good job, everybody. All right, I think those are finding pretty good stocks, like a needle in the haystack today. All right, so thank you so much, everybody, for coming. We'll be back next week. You guys have a great weekend, and I'll put a little music on, but we'll close the room pretty soon. And again, thanks for coming. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.